Hey guys, it's Benny. This is my first video back, post-baby, and in my nice new office, which I'm very excited about. I get all my books in one place, which is just amazing. Anyway, super stoked. Since for the past 5 months, my entire life has practically been about a little infant who had colic and crazy cap and newborn conjunctivitis, which is like the eye goop, you know. I have done a lot of homeopathy with a newborn, and certainly I knew a fair bit about dosing beforehand because I had, done homeopathy for infants and studied it and whatever, but the hands-on experience I have gotten did teach me quite a bit. So I thought I'd share some things with you because there are some unique considerations I hadn't really understood beforehand. So, first of all, as I've said before, homeopathy basically comes in two forms. There's pellets and there's liquid. Generally, what you can buy is only pellets in these little bottles, right? You twist the cap, little pellets come in here, and then you just swing them back. But now, a newborn can't really have pellets. I mean, one thing I always thought about experimenting with, but I never have, is like crushing the pellets so that they're powder and they would just dissolve in the baby's mouth. It's just been a bit too much work for me to do, and I don't love dosing with pellets anyway, which is a topic for another day. So, if you have a newborn or any infant that's not having solids yet, and not hard solids like a pellet, then it's a bit of a choking hazard and you don't really want to give them pellets. So, for me it's an ixnay on that one. So the other option is liquid dosing. This is what my bottles look like, but basically all they are, so this is 50% vodka, 50% water. I take the pellets from here and I add them into here, okay? And then the whole liquid becomes medicated. And then you take a few drops of that every day. Now, the concern with the liquid is sort of twofold. First of all, a lot of babies, especially newborns, have reflexes still in their mouth because, like, they're not usually digesting stuff. They only have breast milk, right? Like, they're not drinking, they're not eating, and so they don't like stuff put in their mouth, and they just like push it out with their tongue. Like, push it out. And I can't tell you how many times I would take a little drop bottle, put it on my baby's tongue, and he would just push the liquid out. And then, like, he got some of the dose, but I could tell, like, some of his symptoms would be back. Like, he wouldn't get the full dose because he just, like, pushed the liquid out. Anyway, so that's one consideration. The other is the issue of vodka. Okay, so first let's go over it with alcoholic solutions. So I'm going to do another video on exactly how much alcohol a baby would be getting if you gave them a few drops of alcoholic tincture. Because it's really not that much, because it's 50% vodka, 50% water. Vodka is not 100% alcohol, right? So really, if you want to give them some straight drops, it's not a big deal. But like I said, I'll do another video on, like, all of the exact math and what's safe and what's not. But if you don't want to do any alcohol, which was sort of where I landed, especially when my son was a newborn. I mean, why would I give a 3-week-old any vodka? That just seemed like wrong. But that's just me. So that's when you want to start diluting down in another glass of water. So basically what I would do is you take your liquid from the liquid dose, you put a few drops in a cup like this. This is not medicated. Just FYI. And then you add water to this. So, for example, this is hot. Obviously, you wouldn't give them boiling hot water. It would destroy the remedy and burn your baby. But for the purpose of, illustration. So I would put it in a measuring cup, because really, so if you're going to do liquid doses, the most important thing is that you want it to be the same dose every single day. You don't want to put 2 drops into a cup of water one day and then the next day put 2 drops into a tablespoon of water. Those are 2 very different doses and you're not really going to understand what's happening. So I would take a measuring cup and make sure you're putting the same amount with the drops every day, because you are going to have to do this every day or for every single dose the baby has. So I've got my half cup of water, I put it in here, and then you've got 2 options. So you can either like take another dropper, like this. Put it in, take a few drops out, give the few drops to your baby. Or, this is what I ended up working with, is a little milliliter syringe. So let me show you why dropper versus syringe is important. So, I have my little fake baby here. Let's say you go with the dropper method. And I have done this. Just FYI. This is the voice of experience here. It's 6 a.m., your baby's crying, they need their colic remedy. And they are moving all around, not staying still. And you are trying to dangle a dropper bottle over their mouth. Do you think you're going to get it in? Probably not. I think my baby got like 10 drops on the cheek, like outside of the cheek, and then like 1 drop in, maybe? And I was like, I don't know how much of a dose that counts as. Is it like, is it 1 drop? Or is it like 11 drops? I don't know. Anyway, so that was a bit of a nightmare. The only way I found to make a dropper bottle work is if they open their mouth and then you sneak it into the corner so that the dropper bottle is in the cheek. But then still, it only works really if you're doing 1 drop at a time, because so what you can do, I don't know if you can see this, but like there's a little drop hanging on the end, and then I would stick that into the cheek, and then I knew they got 1 drop. But if you were trying to do 2 drops or 3 drops or something, like you would either have to do that 2 or 3 times, or guess like how much squeezing at the end was 2 drops. It was ridiculous. Okay. So that's why I ended up doing a syringe. So this is a 1 milliliter syringe, and the tenths of a milliliter are written down on the side, and 1 drop is 0.05 milliliters. So I would just, let's say you're trying to do 3 drops, that's 0.15 milliliters. So I would fill it up to, that's not quite enough, 0.15 milliliters. And then I would do the same thing where I would put it into the corner of the mouth, into the cheek. Like you can actually see better on me. I put it, this way, into the cheek. And then squeeze out the amount of remedy. And that way you would always get the exact same amount every single day and not have to worry about like how many drops actually got into the mouth, you know? Now, the other thing you can do, I should preface all of this, is if your baby is on a bottle, whether or not it's pumped or formula, it doesn't matter, this is actually a lot easier because you can just put the amount of drops into their bottle. The only caveat is that you want to make sure it's a bottle you know they're going to finish. Like if they have 1.5 ounces per meal, maybe even put it in a bottle with only a 1/2 ounce, because you know they're going to finish the 1/2 ounce, and then give them the rest of their meal after, because you don't want to put 3 drops into a bottle of 1.5 ounces, have them only finish 1 ounce, and then they only have gotten part of their remedy, right? It's the same thing I do with my animals, actually. Like if I'm dosing my pets, I put a few drops on a small portion of their dinner, and then once they have their dose, I give them the rest of their dinner, because otherwise, like, it's like, I never know if they've actually had the whole dose, because maybe they leave a tablespoon of their dinner behind, and I'm like, well, I don't know if you actually got your remedy then. So, anyway, where was I? Oh, right. So, if you have an older baby in particular, like not necessarily a newborn, although you could do it with a newborn, but a baby where like maybe a few drops doesn't seem sufficient, or I know there are some homeopaths who don't like to do drops, they feel like it's not enough of a dose, that's fine. If you want to do teaspoons and tablespoons, you can. The reason I don't like to, I'll show you how, but the reason I'll tell you why I don't like it. So, let's pretend this is a teaspoon or a tablespoon, because, oh wait, no, actually, I have a spoon. Where'd it go? Here it is. Okay, let's pretend this is a tablespoon measure. You're holding baby. You're holding a tablespoon of liquid. Babies are not still, so they're going to be moving around, and really the only way to do a tablespoon is to put it up to their mouth, and they'll actually lap it like a dog, like So they can lap up their tablespoon or teaspoon or whatever of liquid dose that way. But the reason I don't like it is because since they're not still, you're going to have some spillage while they're doing this. And so you're never really going to know like how much of the dose they got. And it's going to be a little bit different every day, which is also why I like the drops, even though it's a very light dose. You know, like they're getting exactly the same dose every day, which is what I like. So anyway, I hope that was helpful. It's sort of straightforward and also sort of unexpected at the same time is the way I found dosing infants. So I hope that gave you some clarity if you needed it. All right, till next time. Bye.